Somewhere in the cold north, Cord Industries has excluded the artifacts known as the Scarab, which they have been looking for 14 years. Meanwhile, Jamie Reyes returns from his college finals in his hometown of Palmera City and knows his family is losing their home due to financial feelings. To Jaime's sister, Milagro rupture got the two of them to work in the mansion of Cord Industries CEO Victoria Cord. However, the part is fired after Jamie steps in to get a fight between Victoria and her niece Jenny. Jenny offers to meet her at the corporate office building, known as Cord Tower, the next day to uncover a job opportunity. The next day, Jenny discovered that Victoria was using the Scarab for her OMAC, One-Man Army Corps, industrial development projects. She steals the Scarab and, in order not to catch it, gives Jamie, hidden in the food box, setting conditions so that he does not open the box, but historically her home crime family captures Jamie opens the box. When Jamie touches the Scarab, it activates and stacks with him, suggesting an armored suit. Jamie later comes looking for Jenny for answers and saves her from the clutches of the Victorian military. Jenny tells Jamie that the Scarab is an ancient sentient weapon long owned by her father, and that he willingly chose Jamie as his bearer. With Uncle Jaime's help, Rudy, Jamie and Jenny infiltrate the guarded Cord Tower and capture the key, a smartwatch that is once led by Jenny's father Ted, but is caught by Victoria's bodyguard Ignacio Carapax, who has the prototype OMAC implanted in his body. A Scarab named Haji Da temporarily takes over Jaime's body and fights Carapax. All three successfully escape to Jenny's childhood home. Jenny uses Ted's watch to unlock the secret entrance to his lab and informs Jamie that Ted has become a superhero named Blue Beetle before mysteriously disappearing, leaving his company in Victoria's hands. Jamie has risen as Kaji Da and flies home to hand over his family from the Victorian army. As the Reyes family flees, Jaime's father Alberto has a heart attack, which from Jaime's capture and allows Carapax to capture him, discovering him due to Alberto's death. Jamie is taken to an island fortress in Cuba, where he is tied to a machine that downloads information from Haji Da to OMAC. While unconscious, Jamie sees his father, who visits his destiny to become the Blue Beetle. Jamie escapes. Carapace's OMAC suit gains new information and transforms into a more powerful form. Jenny and his Reese family use Theta's bagship and its arsenal of weapons to storm the island. Jamie meets with his family, then meets Carapax and fights him. Jamie nearly kills him, blaming his father's death, but Kaji then shows Jamie a sense of Carapax being enslaved by Victoria for OMAC experiments, and Jamie spares Carapax. Carapace rebels against Victoria and causes his OMAC suit to explode, destroying the island as well as himself and Victoria. When the Reyes family flee the island, they finally find time to mourn Albert's death. Afterwards, Jenny takes over Cord Industries and promises to make amends to Reyes by helping them rebuild their home. As the neighbors gather around the remnants of the Reyes family home to support them, Jamie shares a kiss with Jenny and then offers to take her on the bagship to Cord Manor. In the middle of the credits, Ted's tape plays static in the lab, telling Jenny that he is alive. Though the modern-age incarnation of the hero is currently in the limelight, the hero's history extends all the way back to the golden age of comics. But, whether you like old crime stories or contemporary sci-fi epics, it's clear that the best part about Jamie Reyes is his reliability. Not unlike Spider-Man when he first debuted, the modern Blue Beetle is a teenage superhero with real-world problems. Whether it's grades, relationships, or intergalactic alien invasions, Jamie always has something going on. Diving into the history of the character, from the first incarnation to the present, there are some fascinating factoids to be uncovered. Below, the hidden secrets of the Blue Beetle. While Jamie Reyes is the most well-known hero to don the Blue Beetle mantle, at least in this day and age, he wasn't the first. The initial Big Blue was a rookie cop named Dan Garrett, who took to vigilantism after the death of his father, also a policeman. He first appeared in the Fox Feature Syndicate comic book series, Mystery Men Comics No. 1, in 1939, donning an outfit more akin to the Green Hornet than his successors. Decades later, the Blue Beetle was reinvented by the folks at Charlton Comics, now spelled Dan Garrett, who likewise introduced his new superpower-inducing Egyptian scarab. The second Blue Beetle took over Garrett's mantle in a backup feature at the end of Captain Atom No. 83, then went on to earn a series of his own. This version, named Ted Cord, was engineered by Spider-Man co-creator Steve Ditko, though he shared little in common with the Wallcrawler or his predecessor. Instead, Cord was a billionaire inventor who used his technical prowess to develop Beetle-themed equipment and save the day. By the time DC Comics acquired Charlton's library in the mid-1980s, Cord was ushered into the Justice League following the Crisis on Infinite Earths, where he'd serve as DC's primary Beetle until his death. Following Cord's murder, Garrett's original Scarab found a new host in teenager Reyes, who has been the face of the Blue Beetle legacy ever since. When the original Blue Beetle made his debut, Dan Garrett didn't sport any fancy superpowers. He was a normal guy who wore a suit and a beetle mask to fight crime, much like the most famous noir vigilantes of the 1920s and 30s. But that all changed in 1940, when Garrett armed himself with his trademark bulletproof outfit and a compound called Vitamin 2X. This vitamin, developed by his ally Drive, Franz, gave Blue Beetle superhuman strength, stamina and an edge over his enemies. As his adventures continued, Garrett, following Batman's example with Robin, adopted a sidekick of his own named Sparky. Though Sparky wasn't granted a magic vitamin of his own, he did earn himself a mini-sized bulletproof uniform. Like many other sidekicks, Sparky was phased out altogether, as was Garrett's strange medical concoction, but that doesn't mean the Blue Beetle was without a host of superpowers. Upon the character's revival, Dan Garrett, now reinvented as an archaeologist, was given superpowers via a magical scarab he found in Egypt. His adventures became more tied to magic than to science, and with the scarab his abilities changed too. Now, the Blue Beetle had not only incredible superhuman strength, but also enhanced vision, the ability to project energy blasts, and even the power of flight. This new origin would become the template for the Jamie Reyes version who appeared years later, claiming the scarab as his own. There's no denying the vast impact The Dark Knight has had on comic books and superheroes over the past 80 years. Not only has Batman been the direct inspiration for a host of other heroes, sidekicks, and otherwise, but he's arguably the most popular comic book character ever created. So, it's little surprise he influenced the Blue Beetle. While the Ted Kord incarnation of the character is a direct revamp of the original Golden Age version, he was also inspired by the Caped Crusader's own Silver Age adventures. Much like Bruce Wayne, Ted Kord inherited his family's company, Kord Industries, used to build weapons and gadgets to fight crime in the city. Though Kord didn't don a cape or feature a plucky sidekick, he built his own flying vehicle, affectionately nicknamed the Bug, which puts the Batmobile to open shame. Though Kord's personality couldn't have been more different from Batman's, the Dark Knight still held Blue Beetle in the highest honor, and has called on him for aid in recent years. Kord is also known for being a good friend, and possibly more, to Wayne's former sidekick, Barbara Gordon. In fact, Kord helped fund her Birds of Prey outfit before his initial death, which has since been wiped from the DC universe, and even left some valuable Kord Industries assets to assist with her operation. Between the three different men to boast the Blue Beetle name, this hero has been on more superhero teams than you might expect. Though DC's Dan Garrett was never a part of a team, Ted Kord quickly became a founding member of the Justice League International. The JLI was an all-new version of the team that formed after the mega crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths, collecting heroes from around the globe to combat evil. As one of the most consistent members of the League, Kord stuck with the team through several incarnations, including the early 90s Extreme Justice and the Justice League America branch that aided Superman in his deadly battle with Doomsday. Kord also allied himself with other Charlton-turned-DC Comics heroes on the Team LA.W, which stood for Living Assault Weapons. Joined by the Question, Captain Atom, Nightshade, and Peacemaker, their adventures were fairly short-lived. The Jamie Reyes version of Blue Beetle has made his way onto a few different teams over the years, each more impressive than the last. Though he joined the Teen Titans for a time, Jamie was also a member of not one but two incarnations of the Justice League. Aside from the mainline team, he also joined a reformed Justice League International as they aimed to take down Kord's killer, Maxwell Lord. Over the years, he's also fallen in with the Young Justice and Secret Six crowds, making him the most well-rounded Beetle in the DCU.